Good to me. Let me just get the thing.
You can't ever finish if you don't begin.
No. That's why I use.
So I've begun using Bromo Seltzer.
It's really hard not to do it.
Yeah, I know.
We should one of these days. Look, everybody, we'll retire Current Geek and start the early 1900s transatlantic.
Or in true Current Geek style, once a month we'll just make one of the episodes feature.
Yeah. That'll thrill people.
It's our little playground.
I thought the Mini C64 did have a working keyboard, the Wraith 86. Am I wrong on that? I thought it did, which was part of why I was interested. Maybe if it doesn't, maybe I don't care then. Oh, that's a bummer.
I have a gavel for a mustache.
Oh, fantastic. All right, here we go. This is the show, and this is how we make it. We start by clicking this button and saying 3, 2, 1.
I have
Current Geek! Current Geek!
Podcasting from my basement. No, that's not true. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Current Geek. This is Current Geek, the talk show about items of interest to the geeks in the world and you. I'm Scott Johnson. He's Tom Merritt. Good morning.
I am so happy to be here, Scott Johnson, for our little playground that we're so glad other people like to play with us in.
Why do you think I said good morning, though? What is that about? Do you think that's a sign of the...
Because you like the morning show. You've got the morning show aesthetic.
I guess.
You know, the morning stream. I've always been an afternoon drive guy.
Yeah, that's true. You're not
And
gonna...
it could be morning if someone's listening to this for sure.
Yeah, sometimes I would notice some local radio personalities would sub for each other. So you'd have the morning guy in the afternoon, and he wouldn't be as good at doing the weather and traffic on the nines. And then the guy in the afternoon, if he ever had to do the morning, he was just all flummoxed. So what we've done here was we
kept saying
brought
PM.
Exactly. Yeah. So we brought the best of us together. We put morning and afternoon together. And what do you get? Big
Current Geek.
Carrot cake. Fantastic. Well, we're going to dive right in. We got lots to talk about, and we're excited to be here. So welcome back, everybody. Let's go.
Herbert Hoover, Secretary of Commerce in 1922, finds infant radio facilitates news gathering, as do many others in high public office.
Tom, what happened since last we spoke?
Something very exciting for most people.
Oh.
I missed this particular boat, so I don't get to feel the excitement except through my friends. But Warner Brothers announced a live-action adaptation of Akira, directed by Taika Waititi, to come out May 21st, 2021. Of course, Katsuhiro Otomo's 1982 manga Akira was made into anime in 1988. It is considered both in manga and anime form a classic. Warner got the rights to make a live-action version of it in 2002 and has tried 5 different directors and 10 different writers and has never got it going until now. So we're getting a live-action Akira May 21st, 2021, Taika Waititi.
I'm excited because that guy is just the right kind of director to throw a weird project at like this. I think this is the right thing to do. I wonder, and it doesn't say in this article, if Leonardo DiCaprio's production company is still involved, because for a long time, that languishing period you were referring to was in their hands. They were trying to figure out what to do with it.
You know what? I've got 50% confidence, but I swear I read that DiCaprio was still on board as an EP.
He's apparently super into it and wants to. The reason that they fought hard to get the rights or to work with the rights holders and all of that was because he was so passionate for the work. So I think that's a good thing, and I think Taika has proven multiple times now in multiple venues, television and film, that he brings a very unique voice to this sort of stuff, and I can't think of anybody else I'd rather have do it. Like, if you're going to give me a list and say, well, right now he's on board, I'd say, well, then you're probably good. Like, I have faith in that guy. So
nothing could go wrong here. Everyone will be happy, and no one will complain about a beloved franchise with a very rabid fan base being turned into a live action. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, I'm sure it will find equal fan footing across the spectrum. Nobody will be disappointed. Here's the only concern I would have.
This is an interesting test case because Taika Waititi is very good at being part of the audience that he is entertaining.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons Thor Ragnarok was so good. It is certainly one of the reasons that What We Do in the Shadows, both the movie and the TV show, are so good.
Yeah.
So maybe if anybody can make this appealing and pleasing to the rabid Akira fan base, it is Taika Waititi. They seem to consider him one of them.
Yep.
It'll be an interesting test case if pleasing that fan base makes a good movie.
There's also
if making a good movie doesn't please that fan base, or whether Taika Waititi is one of those people who can pull off both, which he may very well be.
He also has this really unique, or I think he exhibits the very unique sense of humor that New Zealanders seem to have, and is able to translate that to films that are otherwise kind of broad audience, and that quirkiness comes across really well. Certainly it did in Thor, and very much did in What We Do in the Shadows, and still does on the TV show. So I think that will be in his favor. Not that Akira is a funny piece of material, but maybe it needs a little of that, like it's a really self-serious piece of work. And fraught with peril, of course, is whether he decides to steer back towards the story of the manga or lean into the story as it's told in the anime, because they are different stories. Right. All I know is at the end we better have big, weird, fleshy body horror going on, or else I'm out. Because that's the thing.
What do you think of the rumor that it will all be Lime scooters instead of motorcycles?
I think that
that is a rumor I just started.
Okay, well, according to the rumor I just heard here from you, and you started it, and I'm now concerned about the production because of that.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. What I'm hearing, I was listening to CurrentGeek the other day. I don't know. No, I am not the person to evaluate this. I love Taika Waititi. Everything that I have seen from him, I have enjoyed immensely. I just never got into Akira, and it's not because I don't like it. I think I was shown part of it once and liked part of it, but I'm not the right guy. I'm not in the crowd. I'm not in the group, so I don't get to judge.
It was
whether it's good for Akira fans or not. I get to judge whether I like it or not. Everybody does. But
sure. Yeah. And you have a scale. People should remember that. You got a bit of a scale you work with, and that could be interesting.
Man, I'm so tired of my scale now.
But he's busy making cool stuff like Time Bandits. He's also production on We're Wolves, which is the werewolf spinoff from What We Do in the Shadows.
It's all hands on Dick over there.
Over Dick. He's just freaking great. So, and they ever need what's his bucket back for anything? Who's he playing Avengers? My brain just went dead. Korg. If they ever need Korg back, he's down to clown because he does that voice and mocap. So, yeah, a full vote of confidence here. You'd have to really blow it to bum me out. I have a feeling that you won't. I have a feeling that you'll do just fine here. And we'll all be happy in the end. And not to forget, by the way, back in 2007,
never forget
an early work that he did with Jermaine Clement. He made a film called Eagle versus Shark.
Oh yeah,
which was made in New Zealand, and it is
also
fantastic. It's so good. So anyway, full confidence vote from Don't Let Us Down, CurrentGeek. Thank you.com.
So 8 days ago, May 20th, how did you celebrate?
Let's see, 8 days ago. Let's see.
May 20th, of course, World Metrology Day.
Oh, well then I measured a thing and then said, "Oh, look how accurate that measurement is. I wish we would use this."
That's not 3 feet. That's a meter. World Metrology Day was on May 20th. And on that day, 4 of the 7 base units of measurement were redefined. By the way, secret shame to all you imperial measurement fans. The United States is part of the World Metrological Association, one of the founders even. I don't know why y'all hate meters. It came from the United States in the 1800s. Anyway, it was started in Paris, but the United States was right on board from the beginning. Anyway, the kilogram, the ampere, the Kelvin, and the mole all have new definitions. The kilogram is the biggest change, though. That's the one where they used to define it by the weight of a sample kilogram that was kept like under glass in a basement in Paris.
Right.
However, because of time, atoms just leaving, it actually lost mass, a very small amount of mass. But when you're the definitive kilogram, you can't afford it to lose any mass. So the kilogram is now redefined by an equation so that no matter where you are, as long as the constants of the universe stay the same, you'll be able to tell exactly what a kilogram is.
Oh, I love that, by the way. And I think my confusion on May 20th is I thought I read Meteorology Day, and I was like excited for weather and weathermen and
right. Yeah, no, that's different. When is World Meteorology?
That's too bad. Oh, there probably is one, right? There probably is a weather day.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
But this is cool because I love the metric system, and I use it more than I do in the imperial measurement system. People say, how is that even possible, Scott? Well, yes, I do use both, because if somebody says to me, hey, I need a 3x5 inch card, and I'll just go print one or whatever, and I'll do that. So I understand, and that's fine. But for the most part, when I'm working with graphic design stuff, output for prints, even dealing with like audio stuff, I always go metric where I can, because I just get so much more accurate information. Now, I feel like just saying these words is waking Sarah Lane up from whatever she's doing.
Probably true.
Yeah, and she's going to throw something at me from LA. I don't know what, or if it would reach here, but
it's pounds and ounces. That's nothing like, she doesn't sound anything like that.
No, but also there has always been, so more to your point about this article, I've always been fascinated by the idea that there is a object under glass in France that represents the measurement. That's fascinating to me. And now knowing what we know about degradation of said thing, I always wondered what they do. Would they replace it? Would they find another one? Would they somehow add a coating of something that would get it back up to the exact measurement and then put it back under glass and let it, decay for another 100 years or whatever? Like, I didn't know. And now we have the answer. It's all math. Turns out I needed algebra in high school. Who knew?
Yeah, it's funny because I'm looking up the definition of a kilogram to see if I can get the actual equation. But when you have it defined as an equation, it means it can never actually, be changed. Like I said, unless the constants of the universe changed.
Right.
So you're basically saying, like, we're going to say that for distance, you can say the amount of space that a photon travels in a vacuum, right? Because the speed of light.
Right.
Speed of light is a constant.
Right.
Not exactly a
well,
constant. But,
as best we can tell. Yeah, as best
Yeah.
we can tell, it's a good one. It's a good one to tie your wagon to.
And in a vacuum, like, okay, it's always going to be the same. So you can say, oh, well, this amount of space is a meter now, because that's how far a photon goes. So it's now defined as the Planck constant, based on the Planck constant, yielding a definition of the kilogram in terms of seconds.
Oh, wow.
So, go look up the Planck constant.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's confusing, but cool. Go look it up. Can you tell?
So quantum electromagnetic action
Yeah.
causes a creation of mass. And so the mass of the kilogram is based on the Planck constant.
So the mole, though, can we talk about the mole for a minute? Just for a second.
Yeah.
That's a measurement of a different type.
Number of molecules, right?
Correct. Let's see, i.e. atoms, molecules, ions, electrons, or photons. As there are atoms in 12 grams of carbon-12, the isotope of carbon with standard atomic weight by 12 is 12 by definition, 12 moles. Anyway, I love that one. That one's great because it can mean that. It can mean the guy in your organization who's spying for a counter organization, or it can be that hairy thing on your face. It's all those things at once. So well done.
Look at the people putting the Planck constant in the chat. We have the best audience ever.
We really do. Look at that.
Yeah. Nice job, Tyros.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Good job, guys. Sidian says this is a pretty elaborate way to lose weight. You're right.
Really is. You've got to change the Planck constant. But if you can do it, you're lighter.
We'll call our new diet walking the plank. And
planking.
Yeah, planking. Oh, it's even better.
Yeah.
And then have you heard of the hot new weight loss craze called planking? Oh, you've got to try it.
Yeah. You just change the fundamental nature of the universe and you weigh less.
That's right. I lost 8.5 moles in just a week.
Did you have them surgically removed, or?
No, I had we undercovered their evil plan and kicked them out of the company so they can no longer give corporate intelligence to the enemy.
Do you have Avogadro's number? I need to tell him about this. So, I have a sad story for you, Scott.
Okay. Look, my capacity for sad stories is nearly at full, but go ahead, I'll take it.
Well, think of the children.
All right.
People 34 years old and younger never knew a world where there had never been such a thing as New Coke.
Whoa.
Yeah.
This is sad already.
For the first 15, 16 years of our lives, Scott, we lived in a world where there was just one formula of Coke. And then in 1985, for 79 long days, Coke had a new recipe. Do you remember those days? Do you remember that drought, the New Coke drought?
I do remember this.
You couldn't get Coke the way you had grown up loving it.
No.
You'd only get the New Coke.
The very
kind of just tasted like Pepsi.
It was very sweet, very Pepsi-like. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, after those 79 days, Coke relented, brought back classic Coke, and of course, eventually New Coke just faded away from the shelves. But it's back.
Yeah. Wait, there's
the
a
Duffer
silver...
Brothers wrote New Coke into the next season of Stranger Things on Netflix, which is set in 1985, and convinced Coca-Cola to release a limited number of 12-ounce cans of New Coke using the original 1985 formula. Free cans of New Coke will be available in upside-down inspired vending machines in select cities, starting in New York, as well as there was a limited run available from the Coca-Cola store. Those are probably all gone by now.
Wow. I know you can still buy an unopened can on eBay. You can find those once in a while. Somebody's kept one or whatever. You'd never want to drink it, but
I kept a classic Coke can from before they had the word classic on it, thinking before these 79 days were up that this would be it. This would be the last time Coke looked like that. It would all be New Coke from then on. I was very wrong. I should have kept the New Coke can.
Yeah, the flip was true. I'm a fan of that, though. Like weird offshoots that will not last very long. Everyone thought they were going to be great. Crystal Pepsi's one of those. That was a weird.
Oh, yeah. I remember drinking a bottle of Crystal Pepsi when I was moving from Champaign, Illinois to Arlington, Virginia.
Yeah, see? What a refreshing drink that was.
It was a refreshing memory.
My memory of that stuff was you had to close your eyes and you couldn't tell the difference, but if you had them open, I could taste a difference. It was like this weird mental trick.
because you process your visual senses and it kind of
it was
primes
weird.
you for things.
Really, really weird. But I'm personally all for this because like the what was that sauce that McDonald's brought back as a Rick and Morty? The
Szechuan
sauce.
Szechuan sauce. Yeah,
that was great. Limited time's fine. Like whatever you want to do. We also live in a time where I think, like in '85, Tom, it was like 7 drinks were your choices, and depending on what part of the country you were from, you may have gotten Faygo instead of Fanta.
Like Fanta,
Yep.
Tab.
Yeah. You had RC
Right,
Cola.
Coke, Pepsi.
You had RC Cola sometimes.
Yeah.
In some places.
Me and my RC.
Now it's a bit like television or anything else where it's a bit of an embarrassment of riches. Video games even. Where it's just so much choice that you can go to any. Well, even Coke products alone. There's just those big machines where you mix 1,000 things together. It's like ridiculous. So I feel like if this happened today, nobody would care that much because Coke, first of all, has the capacity now to have 15 kinds of Cokes. So who cares?
Well, that's the thing. They wouldn't replace
Right.
classic Coke
Right.
with new Coke. They would just add like it's Coke refreshing, like they have the cherry Coke, the Mexican cherry Coke that's kind of spicy, and then they have it's not lemon Coke. What is it? It's like pineapple or mango. I think it's mango.
Orange.
Yeah.
Is it the orange?
Meh.
Or whatever it is.
But anyway, they've got all these different flavors of Coke, but they never mess with if you want just regular old Coca-Cola. I don't even think they put classic on the can anymore. I think it's just Coke now.
It's just Coke, yeah. And then the new Diet Cokes are those skinny little cans with the weird colors, and they got different flavors now. Like it's just
that's the ones I'm talking about with the Mexican.
Oh yeah, those are it. But you have now a time where you could just be really weird and granular like that. But back then, this was just heresy. It was like this crazy thing. But I have feelings about 1985. It's my favorite year of my youth.
Oh, really?
Actually, something about
1982. Interesting.
Oh, that's interesting. Because for me, fives are everything. 85, 95, I loved. 2005 was great. And 2015 is one of my favorite years ever.
Huh.
So all the fives line up for me. I don't know why. They just do. Really looking forward to 2025, unless the whole thing is, pulls its rug out from under me. But yes,
not
Tondra
the tens, not the zeros, just the fives.
Always the fives. I don't know why. Always the fives have been good to me. Even my memories of being 5 years old, I have very fond earliest memories.
I liked 1975, but 1985 just kind of lost for me. I guess I was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a nothing year for me.
Yeah, I was sophomore also, and it would have been. I think for me, it would have been the pop culture of it all. The music was hitting the crescendo. That decade was defining itself.
Way into the MTV, Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne kind of rock.
That whole thing was happening.
Whitney
you had
Houston.
Movies. The year prior, and that year you had Back to the Future and Indiana Jones: The Temple of Doom and a million other movies that were like really impactful and important.
For me, I like 1982 because of the music. That was the year I got my first cassette player. So I just went hog wild on music and physical, Hall & Oates, No Can Do.
Nothing better than physical Hall & Oates.
Yeah, physical Hall.
Physical Hall. And
you know the hits.
Hooked on classics. That's so funny to me. Physical Hall and less physical Oats. Anyway. Make
a move on me.
But down to the nitty gritty here, I will pick this up and I will try it because I want to see if it's good. And if it's not,
if I run into a new Coke vending machine in Los Angeles, I will absolutely get one. My thing is, these are going to be limited. So once the word gets out that it's there, it's going to be emptied like that. You know, and that'll be it.
Yeah. Which is ironic because they couldn't freaking give them away in 85 because everyone was so mad. Like they were having the hardest time selling them, and now these things are going to sell out. They could do a permanent run of New Coke, and it would be millions of dollars in revenue, maybe billions.
Well, and I don't think we should ignore the fact that New Coke was a disaster for Coca-Cola.
Yeah, it almost killed the company. It was so bad.
I mean, we all suspect that maybe they always planned to bring back Classic Coke, but I don't think anyone planned for the hatred for New Coke that existed. I mean, by the end of 1985, it was a weird situation if you still saw New Coke available. I remember being in like some old general store when we were camping, probably in 1986, and seeing a box of New Coke and going, "Wow, they still have New Coke here."
New Coke, yeah.
Like it was gone fast. It left the shelves.
Yeah,
but they never took away that classic thing because I think they were so afraid that people would think they were being slipped the New Coke. And yet now, all these years later, they're able to be like, you know what? Yeah, let's just acknowledge that was a moment in cultural history, and let's play with it. So good for them.
Yeah, well done, guys, and good luck with your little stunt. And I hope it goes well, and I hope that season's good. More importantly, I hope this new season of Stranger Things is okay.
Even stranger. Yeah. Full of things.
The kids go to college.
The upfronts are when television networks get together with a bunch of salespeople and talk about what shows they've got coming up. It used to be a big deal when all the shows debuted in the fall season. Now it's just sort of a look ahead at the year to come. And Warner Media, which is owned by AT&T now and is not in any way related to Warner Cable, which is called Spectrum, but is related to Warner Brothers, the movie and production company, and HBO and Turner and TBS, CNN, all of that. They had an upfront sales conference and announced that Rick and Morty appeared themselves announcing that season 4 returns in November, and that's all we know.
I'm excited.
Yeah, people were very excited about this.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. So the video I saw must have come from this because I saw the YouTube thing or whatever.
Oh, gee, Rick, we're coming back in November. That's right, Morty.
That was basically it. It's basically like another. It sounded like Justin Roiland going just improv in the studio, playing both characters, making it up as he went along, kind of what people want. And I'm all for this because we're big Rick and Morty fans around here. I know that it's I've learned lately, Tom, last couple of years, I've learned there are some people who really dislike Rick and Morty. Rubs them wrong.
It's an acquired taste for some folks. Yeah. It's almost Akira-like in its fandom, though.
Oh,
right?
yeah. No, hardcore fandom. People really into it.
They want to make sure they don't raise the ire of their fans. They're being very careful, which is why we've had to wait this long, and why we didn't even get an exact date yet. It's just sometime in November they're shooting for.
There are some people who I've met who take Rick's particular view of the world and humanity and a philosophy toward all life a little too seriously or literally for my taste.
Yeah.
And you're like, actual Rick is a bad idea. Cartoon Rick is great. Great foil, great fun, good times. Right. But
dropping an anvil on someone, funny in a cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Not funny in real life.
Not so much. But yeah, I'm excited about this. And they say November, this is sooner between 3 and 4 than the big gap between 2 and 3. So
yeah. True.
This must make some.
Well, they also, happy. I mean, they're guaranteed 70 some episodes, so they're able to just kind of nail down their arcs and figure out where they want to go with this. I think the last time they were like, "Whoa, season 1 did really good. We have to be careful and do season 2 really good." So.
Yeah, there you go. I like it.
BuzzFeed reports that Lita Kalogridis, who wrote Alita Battle Angel, also wrote one of the upcoming Avatar sequels,
Whoa.
is close to finishing the first script of a potential Knights of the Old Republic Star Wars trilogy. Now, this is odd because BuzzFeed says that Benioff and Weiss are writing their own scripts for their first Star Wars trilogy, which is set for December 22nd. So it would seem that Benioff and Weiss are not working on a Knights of the Old Republic trilogy. Or are they? Are they wrong? I mean, this is all sources say stuff. So this could mean that Benioff and Weiss are not writing their own scripts, or Benioff and Weiss were writing treatments and handed off one of them to Lita Kalogridis to write, or she's writing scripts for Rian Johnson's trilogy, or she's writing scripts for direct to Disney Plus Star Wars. Who knows? Who knows what she's writing scripts, if she's even writing scripts. But BuzzFeed, I'll give BuzzFeed credit for usually getting the basics right, not just flat out lies. So I'm guessing that she is, in fact, writing a script based on Knights of the Old Republic for something. But beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what they do here. I'm talking to the choir here, so everybody probably knows all of this, but
Preach it, brother.
It's this great offshoot that came out of the video games, or it came out of a video game adaptation to start with, which is, and I forget how many hundreds of years before Luke.
Thousands, I think.
Or thousands,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, thousands of years.
Yeah.
And it's good. Like, it's genuinely good. It was these EA games that were done by BioWare at the time. This is before BioWare kind of lost their vision, and they were making just an incredible story. And so everyone always thought this would be so good in the main canon. Like, let's see this stuff leak into the other products. At the time, nobody was making Star Wars movies, so nobody knew what would happen there. But as soon as all the Star Wars movie news started to happen, I remember immediately going, oh, it'd be great. His KOTOR should get a little bit of love out there. And then we've really heard nothing about that. If it's Benioff and Weiss, if it's her, if it's KOTOR, a combination of them,
stands for Knights of the Old Republic.
Sorry, thank you for the correction, or the clarification.
Clarification, not a correction.
Yeah, it's very exciting because it's very fertile ground for lots of interesting storytelling that absolutely removes us from the Skywalker legacy and puts us in new places. But it's also very Sith heavy. It's got some neat dark stuff going on. I would be stoked for this, like beyond out of my mind excited. And it's everything everybody was excited about when Star Wars: The Old Republic launched, which is an MMO, still out there, still a thing. Everyone thought, well, this is where we're really going to flesh it out. And it turned out it was okay, but it didn't really do what people wanted. We need movie or TV adaptation of this. So if it's them, or if it's her, or if it's all of them, or if it's whatever, I am wherever the signature line is, I'll sign, and we're ready to roll. I'm excited. And you should be too, Tom. As a Star Wars fan, you should be out of your mind excited about this.
I will be once I know more details. Yeah, I'm very excited about the idea of Knights of the Republic coming to the screen. I think the Benioff and Weiss thing probably is colored in a little bit by the fact that they're the Game of Thrones guys, and everybody thinks, oh, old-timey medieval things are their jam. Yeah. So, of course, they'll do Knights of the Old Republic. But if you look at Benioff and Weiss's previous credits, they didn't both do only medieval-like things. Mm-hmm. So it's perfectly possible that Rian Johnson is doing Knights of the Old Republic, and Lita Kalogridis is writing a script for him. And I would be fine with that. That feels like it fits the facts best, but I also wouldn't be shocked if this is like a different project of some sort that we're unaware of, and it's not one of the two trilogies that we know are coming to Lucasfilm.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up in the way that you did, because it being thousands of years old, one of the complaints I had about the Old Republic setting when I was playing the first KOTOR game, Knights of the Old Republic game, was that it's basically still sort of just Star Wars. Like, they don't, in human history, 2,000 years is everything, right? In Star Wars history, it turns out there's not a lot of change. There's blasters and lightsabers and ships and ports of call.
Vibrating something.
Yeah, they have
had something different.
Yeah, they had some trippy older tech, but at the end of the day, you still had your crystals and your sabers and your, like, it's pretty much. Yeah, vibroblades, that's what they were called.
Vibroblades,
yeah,
thank you, Ken.
There's a bunch of that, that's true. But it's also like that should be 10 years before Star Wars, not thousands. You know what I mean? Like, not that it's a problem. I'm fine with Star Wars being kind of static in its various details. It's like it's always got aliens and taverns and bars and smugglers and, you know, some kind of force that's a lot like the Imperial forces and some kind of good guy group that's a lot like the Jedi Order. Like it's fine for me. I just like that it by its sheer nature, it just is lifted out of the path we're in right now, the whole Skywalker web, and it's put somewhere where none of that matters or is involved at all. And it just opens up story. So I'm all for this. So whoever's doing it, just do a good job and make it multiples of these, and I'll bet you fans will respond. We don't need all Skywalker all the time.
If one of the trilogies, either Benioff and Weiss or Rian Johnson, is KOTOR, and the other is something entirely new, entirely unhinted at, then I'll be so happy.
Yeah.
Give me something that's deep with the history. Show me not origin stories, but like what it was like when the Jedi were the guardians of peace and justice throughout the galaxy, when the Sith were multiples, not just, you know, a remnant of a myth. Like, show me that. I want to see that. All new stories in that. And then show me something out on the fringe somewhere. Something beyond the First Order and the Resistance, beyond the Empire and the Rebellion, and is just totally different. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, put it in that world and trust us to know what we don't need you to do all the fan winking at us. You don't have to go, ooh.
And don't get me wrong, I love the fan winking. That's why I know it annoys people, but sometimes, like when I'm watching Solo, a Star Wars story, I want fan winking. I want to see the first time he meets Chewbacca. That's what I'm there for. I like fill in these gaps. I love that sometimes,
right.
But I also want other things beyond that.
Right. And I want them not to just, I don't know why it feels this way. And this is a huge corporation doing giant things. So I don't have any perspective on this other than what I can perceive. But it feels like with the Marvel stuff, Disney has been willing to take crazy chances like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's an insane thing to do. Nobody makes that movie. It's insane. And they did it, and it was great. And we're all the better for it. And it fed into so many other great things that all culminated in Endgame. So the perfect thing. But on the paper, that is insane. I feel like on the Star Wars side of things, they're like, be careful. We got to, people aren't going to care unless this is somehow tied to Luke, or we've got, if we bring back Mark Hamill, boy, won't that be something? Like, I feel like they're just too scared that maybe isn't the word, but they're just afraid to draw outside of those lines. So keep drawing in the lines by all means, like Tom says.
I don't think they're afraid to. I think they know that a large number of people want them to fill in the rest of those lines.
Right.
But that's what they want. And they thought they could capitalize on that by filling in a few other lines with Solo and Rogue One. And it turned out they overestimated the number of people who wanted that with Solo. And now they've recalibrated and said, okay, we will finish the Skywalker saga. We'll put freaking Skywalker in the name of the last episode. We'll underline that, put a period, and then we can move on. And I think that's right, because I am one of the people who's like, yeah, I want to see Mark Hamill come back. I want to see Harrison Ford come back. I want to see all this like tied up with new characters. This is great. I love this, but that isn't the only thing I want to see. Mm-hmm. I want to see other stuff that's unrelated to this, and it looks like that's what we're going to get.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Finally, NASA awarded a company called Maxar a contract to develop a power and propulsion element that will be the first Lunar Gateway space station segment to fly into space. The Lunar Gateway is NASA's plan to create a space station orbiting the moon that would be a gateway to allow exploration of the moon, building on the moon, as well as using the moon as a launching off point for exploration elsewhere in the solar system. The component will provide the station's power, its maneuvering capabilities, altitude control, communication systems, and initial docking capabilities. And Blue Origin, which is partially owned by Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, will help with a demo flight set for 2022. So Blue Origin rockets will take it up and make sure that that element can fly and do all the things that it needs to demonstrate that it works before they actually put it into lunar orbit.
Nice. Do you ever feel like all this cool stuff that we were promised for so long is happening, like right around the time that you and I are in our generation are just like, well, yeah, all right. Thanks, guys.
I've mentioned maybe before that I sort of believe that I'll be the last person to die. That they'll figure out like the day after I die, like, oh, nobody has to die anymore. We solved it. along the lines of those fears is like, they'll make it possible for me to buy a plane ticket the way I could buy a plane ticket to go to Chicago, to go to the moon the day after I am no longer medically capable of being on that flight.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Yeah, with your heart, we can't let you go, which would be really sad because I would love to do that.
I would too. But this is all exciting nonetheless for other generations. So enjoy what's coming.
Think of the children.
Won't someone think of the children? More importantly, won't someone think of our Redditor submitters? These guys just out there banging it out, getting one article after another and saying, hey, what about this? Tom, we should give them some credit. Who helped us out this week?
CurrentGeek.reddit.com, folks. Get in there and do voting, if nothing else. Jeff Rose can't do it all himself. He needs Robot Servant and Strike It Rich One and a whatnot. And you in there submitting stories. Thanks to all those folks I just named for submitting stories at CurrentGeek.reddit.com.
All right. That means it's time for the Roland segment, a new segment we call Keep On Roland, where Tom reads Scott some passages, that's me, from French literary critic Roland Barthes's seminal work, Mythologies. Tom, take it away.
So this is a passage from a chapter called Ornamental Cookery, which is about the magazine Elle, right. ELLE.
Oh, yeah, sure. Fashion magazine.
And the idea that what they show in Elle, food-wise, is mythological.
Okay. So
Roland Barthes writes, this ornamental cookery is indeed supported by wholly mythical economics. This is an openly dreamlike cookery, as proved in fact by the photographs in Elle, which never show the dishes except from a high angle, as objects at once near and inaccessible, whose consumption can perfectly well be accomplished simply by looking. It is, in the fullest meaning of the word, a cuisine of advertisement, totally magical, especially when one remembers that this magazine is widely read in small income groups. The latter, in fact, explains the former. It is because Elle is addressed to a genuinely working-class public that it is very careful not to take for granted that cooking must be economical. Compare with the newspaper L'Express, whose exclusively middle-class public enjoys a comfortable purchasing power. Its cookery is real, not magical. Elle gives the recipe of fancy partridges. L'Express gives that of salad niçoise. The readers of Elle are entitled only to fiction. One can suggest real dishes to those of L'Express in the certainty that they will be able to prepare them.
Wow. I don't even know what to say.
So, overthrow the government, I think is what.
By the way, he died too soon. He died March 26th, 1980. I think if that guy was alive today, he could have written stuff about Pinterest. He could have written stuff.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I would love to hear what Roland Barthes thought of Instagram.
Yeah, like modern social constructs would have been fascinating subject matter for that guy, probably.
He basically was saying in that passage, like, Elle has these beautiful, inaccessible dishes because the people who can afford to buy Elle want to live vicariously through it. They are, this is keeping the masses mollified by showing them these high-end things. Whereas L'Express is for people who actually have enough money to buy stuff, so they give them more practical recipes.
Well, there you go. A chance for us to put the high in falutin with a little segment we call Roland.
Well said.
Before we jump to forecast, a reminder that this show is supported and really maintained by you and your willingness to give to it. Yeah, that's right. If you go to patreon.com/currentgeek, it's a place where you can give to the show. We can give back to you with some cool rewards, but mainly you help the show have a reason to exist. You are our bosses. So huge thanks to everybody who's already done it. If you haven't before, maybe now's the time to consider it. Head over there and look at what we got, see what you think, pick one that's right for you, and then throw a little love our way. Again, that is patreon.com/currentgeek. And now, a thing I have to push. Nope, wrong one. Here you go.
The future promises even more startling things to come.
It's Forecast, where we predict the future. Used to be a show, now it's a segment. We predict the future on technological, entertainment, cultural lines, whatever it is we think of at the moment. And Tom's got this week. Tom, what do you have?
I am predicting that in the future, we will be able to... I wrote learn languages, but it's really more speak languages by not having to learn them. An AI will map our brain and reinterpret our thoughts. It'll be trained to be able to tell what thoughts we're having before we've turned them into speech. and on the way to our speech center, translate them.
Whoa.
And so what I'm thinking is, it may be even possible to do this before it gets to the language center of our brain. Remember, sometimes you think in a language and sometimes you don't.
Right.
Sometimes you think thoughts, and then you remember, you ever had a problem expressing your thoughts?
Almost every dream I have a hard time expressing it.
Well, because you didn't think your thoughts in a language.
Right.
So this would be a way to take thoughts as you're forming them to speak, and the AI would know how to recognize that pattern in your brain and go, okay, he would normally say this in English, so we'll tell his speech center to say this in Japanese instead.
So in a way, you're describing Babelfish, but almost the other way around, or the Star Trek Universal Communicator. We all assume that it will translate our language to somebody else's, but you're getting at the root of it, saying, well, what if the thoughts were at the translation point,
right?
And it didn't matter what you spoke; you would just.
I think you would need a different AI, different machine learning or whatever that is to do it on the other direction. But yeah, you could probably intercept things as they hit the ear, and before they get to the language processing center, flip them so that your language processing hears English instead of hearing what was spoken too.
Just reread Hitchhiker's Guide and was reminded of so many things in that book that are really quite future predicty, but some of it's obviously ridiculous. But the Babelfish, every year that goes by, I feel like we're just getting closer and closer to that thing. Like we're getting better at real-time translation. We can hold our cameras up or our phones up to a sign in French, and it will say what it looks like in English on the sign in real time in augmented reality. Like we're doing things that are not that weird. Or excuse me, not that weird to us, but not that different from some of the futures that people like Douglas Adams and others have sort of envisioned. And in his case, it was almost all sardonically and not trying to be too serious, but yet here we are inching closer to this idea. So I think your idea may sound like it's a bit off in time, time-wise, but it's not crazy. I could see this happening.
I think the idea that what one of the big advantages of machine learning is you don't need to tell it how to figure it out. You just tell it what you want it to pattern match, right?
Right.
And then tell it whether it succeeded or not. You don't need to know how it does it. So we don't have to understand how thoughts are turned into language for this to work.
Yeah.
We just need the pattern matching to work, to the point where it may not even be that you are aware of your translation, but your thoughts are all that matter. Like what you actually want to say, what you intend to say. You won't even have to turn it into English in your own head to make it come out in whatever language needs to come out.
We were just saying in the chat room, or somebody was saying, what will be the initial thought that kicks off the communication so that you're not saying things you don't want to say. And I think we're going to go through a really
it has to be, it's sent to your speech center.
Right.
It's not taking your thoughts and broadcasting them. The same way what you say isn't everything you're thinking,
right,
for most of us,
right,
with a few exceptions.
That's a totally good. That's exactly it. That the way this would have to work is it would have to be sent to your speech centers in the same way that you do it now with English for you and me and someone who's from Finland and Finnish, whatever it is. That's when it's happening, and that wouldn't change. But there will be some fun glitches where that won't work one day, and some guy will just blurt out the first thing in his mind. And that isn't going to be good. But that'll be the rare.
Oh, you mean where like he wasn't intending to send it to the speech center, but the implant misinterpreted the firing.
So he's just going to yell. He's going to be on a
or
bullet
it
train.
just goes wrong and it stops. It just starts sending everything to the speech center, whether it was supposed to be or not.
Yeah. So he'll be on a bullet train in Japan and suddenly yell out for everyone to understand. That's a weird hairy mole on your cheek.
I want food now. What kind of brown sauce do they have? I don't know. Where's the cart? I'm bored. How fast does this thing go?
Oh, you'd have to have some kind of way to shut that down.
Yeah. Override. Right. Manual override.
There you go. Tackle him to the ground and punch him in the neck. There's your
That's where the manual override is.
There's your prediction for the week, everybody. If it comes true, you'll be the first to know. Now we do best thing of all time this week, where we take a thing we're doing or something we're consuming or having or using that we just think is the best thing of all time this week. And Tom will begin, as he always does. I don't even know what that word is. You're going to tell me what that is.
Duolingo is the language app I've been using to learn French. So that's kind of where my head was at with my forecast. You can see where that came from. But this Duolingo is an app that's been around for a long time. It attempts to gamify language learning a little bit. It has improved immensely. I'm learning so much faster. I tried to use Duolingo to learn Spanish, and I got to the end of it. On the mobile version anyway. And I was like, well, wait a minute, where do I go from here? But they've changed, they've expanded, they've added leaderboards to kind of motivate you. They have notifications that don't cause me to want to shut off notifications, but do kind of nudge me like, hey, it's time to learn take another lesson. And it's just great. I've been barreling away on it. And the reason I started using it again is because my wife started using it because we're going to be traveling and wanted to pick up some French. And I was like, I guess I'll try it again. And it's great.
That's awesome.
I highly recommend it. You can use it for free with ads, or you can pay to get rid of the ads. And there's a few other extra features you can get if you pay, but you don't have to pay. I'm not paying. I'm just using it for free.
Do you test this out on Patrick? Like, is he your...
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. No.
Right. You should do that.
Maybe when I've been doing it for another month or two, I'll try.
All right.
The last time I was using an app called Memrise to try to learn a language, and I started to try things out, and Patrick's like, "Why are you speaking like that?" My proudest moment was when I said something, and he was like, "That wasn't bad."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "All right."
That's so Patrick, though.
No, but it's useful because I know when I talk to him, I'll get an honest answer about how it sounds.
Yeah. No, that's true. He'll always be straight with you.
Yeah, and that's much appreciated.
Yeah, you need friends like...
I'm not at the point where I'm ready to trot this out yet because I already know it's bad. So when I get to the point where I think it's good, then I'll try it out.
I recommend friends like Patrick. He will never, if he feels a certain way or wants to answer in a certain way, you will get exactly what he was thinking and nothing else. He will not beat around the bush. If he thinks you're being stupid, he will tell you that. Like that's the Patrick we know and love.
Right now I can say things like, my family is in Paris.
Right.
I am eating an orange. Like I want to be able to say something a little more useful.
Yeah, those will only get you so far.
Yeah. I can order a croissant.
Oh, wow. All right.
It's helpful.
What else? Can you, let's see. Can you say, because this is important, this will happen on a train or something.
Yeah.
Can you say, excuse me, it burns when I pee? Can you do that?
No, I can say, excuse me.
And then you just make hand signals about
I'm halfway there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. For me this week, the greatest thing of all time this week for me is how impressed I am with VR again, thanks to the Oculus Quest. The Oculus Quest came out this last week along with the Oculus Rift S. And for those who don't know what that is, the Rift S is a follow-up to the original Rift, which was their PC-based tethered sort of VR experience. In the past, you needed base stations that would sort of tell the headset, and the headset would tell these base stations where you were positioned in the space that you had, so you can do games or experiences that were in sort of had spatial needs or whatever. And this time around, they've done away with that with the number one reason I am going to recommend people go either the Quest or the S, because they use inside-out tracking, and it is a game changer. Like 100% amazing. I can't believe this wasn't how it was, but this is how it will be from now on. And I even mean when these things get super small and thin and fit in your pocket, 10 years down the road, whatever it's going to be, inside-out tracking is 100% the way this will work. It's just so simple, it's disgusting. You literally put the headset on, you have a camera view of the world as if you didn't have them on, and it says, do you want to define where you're at? You say, sure. You hit OK. You take your stick and you make a circle wherever space you got in the room around your furniture, and then it says, you sure? Yep. And you're done. And now you have
so much easier.
You have a perfect
the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift, where you had to like, oh, I think that's the edge. It might change. To put,
it's real weird. And then not only that, you don't have base stations that are
fall off your mantelpiece and
or have weird light come through the blinds and have one of the sensors go all screwy and one of your controllers goes freaky. All of that's gone. This does perfect one-to-one. I'll look down at my hands. The controllers are moving in beautiful full frame animation in any direction I put them, no matter where, how low or high or where I stick them, it doesn't matter. And I got the Quest, so I'm all about the wireless. It is somewhere between the original Rift and the Rift S in terms of capability and power, but it's certainly enough to play really cool immersive stuff like Beat Saber and some other things. But being able to play
it's way more powerful than the Oculus Go. If anybody's thinking like, didn't they already have one?
Oh,
No, the Oculus Go was like the power of a phone. This
Yeah.
is the power of a PC.
Yeah, this is way past the Go. Having both, I can tell you that it's like night and day. It's almost like the Go was this experiment to see if people wanted to go wireless as it was, and maybe that helped inform how the Quest was going to do in terms of volume. I don't know, but it is really something else. The fidelity is incredible. Battery life is great. It's more comfortable and lighter than they've ever been. And like I said, I'm having full immersive spatial experiences. The controllers are basically hands in the world where I can do everything from poke things with a pointed finger to grasp objects with a fist. And the controllers work that way. It's really, really neat. And it also occurred to me today that if you're truly a really hardcore VR enthusiast, I still think these are the way to go, because even if you get the wired and therefore more powerful because it's using your PC to do all of this imagery, get a Quest and a Rift S. That's still under $800. They're $399 each, and that's a better deal than $1,000 for what is probably the best tech on the market, or at least we think so as it's coming. The specs look really good, but the new Valve Index is $1,000, and it doesn't have inside-out tracking. It uses towers again. For me, that's the game breaker. Like, I'm already into the portability thing, and I think that's key, and that's the future, so we should be going toward that direction. And that will just get more powerful and more awesome as time goes on. But if you really want to have the power of your PC over there running your headset, then still the Rift S at only $399 has inside-out tracking, and you never have to worry about those base stations or positions or anything ever again. I'm so impressed with these that it makes me think Oculus, and I suppose that means parent company Facebook, is serious about getting the market as saturated as possible with their headsets, and they make a really impressive product. Like, it's hard to deny it once you've had it on your head. So I really like it a lot, and I'm going to do a more a less scattershot review of it sometime soon when I've sort of put my thoughts together down on paper or something. But this is truly a game changer, in my opinion, about what the future of this looks like. Like, this is finally, like, I'm trying to get a good example. Tom, do you remember, like, when we were young, 12, 13 years old, if our dads bought video cameras, they had the camera, and then they had that big suitcase-style VCR they had to carry on their shoulder.
Right.
And then one day, a camcorder happened.
Right.
This is like that. And moreover, it would be like having a camcorder and then falling asleep into a coma and then waking up in 2019 and noticing this phone on your desk and what it can do with video. Like, it really feels like a leap forward.
Like, why didn't you put me in the hospital? I've been asleep for a long time. But all right.
It feels like a huge leap in just portability, usability. Like, my mom is 80. She could put this on her head and have it set up in 2 minutes, and she wouldn't know anything. She doesn't, not even that. I'm sorry, 20 seconds. It doesn't need any special attention or calibration or anything. It's just, can you point? As long as you can point and click twice or maybe 3 times, you've finished the setup and you're into your experiences. It's really something. I'm super impressed with it. So more on that later.
Play with it, because we talk a lot on Daily Tech News Show about the fact that VR is really only successful in businesses right now as like training and field tools and things like that. We just talked today about the HP backpack VR, the Omen X, which is $3,300. But it has inside out tracking because it can work with whatever headset you want, and it just puts all of the gear on the back so you can have high level VR. But that's for people who want to do like serious OSHA training and things like that. What do you use it for?
All right, so I use it a lot for a handful of games that I'm super impressed with so far. I haven't tried everything. But the Star Wars Vader game thing on there is mind-blowing. It's really good. The future of interactive storytelling, if there ever is any. Really good. And then I play Beat Saber a lot. that game is a workout. It's basically Guitar Hero, but imagine two lightsabers. Well, it's very Star Wars themed now that I think about it.
Yeah, right.
But there are these two sabers. They're not called lightsabers because it's not a Star Wars game, but these two sabers, red and blue or whatever the colors are, and then these objects come at you and you slice them and cut them the right direction and the right color at the beat of the music. So it's Guitar Hero-esque in terms of, stuff's coming at you, hit it on time, don't miss too many or else the song ends sort of stuff. That thing's not only really fun and really cool to have on your head and play and looks amazing, it's like legit a workout. Those two are big ones. I really like Robot Trainer, which is basically you standing on a giant platform in the middle of this big, like, crazy future city, shooting robots out of the sky with two pistols. That sounds really simple, and I guess in some ways it is.
I played that before. That one's really fun.
It's fantastic. It's just really well made. So if you're looking for just like a fun shooter, that's really cool. And then the one that I've just started digging into, I forget the total name of it, something Apex something. It's an Oculus original. They've spent a lot of money and investment in their own studios, so they've got a lot of studio originals coming out. And it's the most like a game that I've played. You're in this post-apocalyptic world. You're exploring
Apex
this place.
Construct?
Apex Construct, thank you. Really nifty, cool thing there. So lots of exploration. That's all I've really had time to mess with. And then the usual stuff like, Pluto TV, which I guess,
Yeah.
I don't know who owns that now, but
Viacom.
That's great. You just sit and watch TV. And it looks great. Looks really nice. How this thing's rendering 1440 per eye is, I don't know how they're doing it with the chip that's in there, but everything looks like you're there. Lots of weird apps people are used to playing in VR, like Rec Room is still really cool, and Big Screen is neat, where you can sit and watch a movie with strangers or friends in an actual movie theater and sort of look at each other and high five and do all this kind of interactivity. Like, there's a lot of that stuff going on. But even just the free demo that loads up when you first start this thing, not really a tutorial, but kind of just a little playground to mess around in, is so freaking impressive. And I'm 100% sure, by the way, that the Valve Index is going to be amazing. Don't get me wrong. But it's also going to have about 5 wires hanging everywhere and a whole bunch of stuff to worry about that I don't think is the direction this stuff goes. I think we sacrifice a little bit of fidelity for convenience and ease of use, which is the same thing. I think I just was redundant about ease of use and usability or whatever I said. Convenience. I think I just double-stepped myself.
What you're saying is convenience trumps fidelity.
Kinda, and I don't mean there's a level that you need to be better than for that to be okay. So I'm not saying that it can look like trash, but because it's portable, yay, right? That's not what I mean.
That's the Oculus Go, almost.
Yeah, kind of where the Go is. This thing is like, whoa, way better than you think. Kind of like where phone games are today. They're beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like, you can do stuff on phones. You're just like, holy crap, what the heck? It's like that. And then these convenience factors just make it so easy to use. And by the way, it's USB-C charged, so all your USB-C chargers are starting to show up with every device you have. They all charge it just fine. My MacBook charger charges it. I could go on, and I shouldn't, but it's real cool. And it's my favorite thing of this week, maybe for a lot of weeks. I'm so impressed with it right now. Kind of blown away.
That's great, man. I'm excited that you're so enthusiastic about it. I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear how your opinion evolves as you.
Yeah, as time goes on, because you're right about it's library is going to matter. Frequency of that library showing up, new must-have experiences, like the pressure is on for the content, absolutely, and that's been true since VR became a product you could purchase. So it's on them to keep that ball rolling, and there's enough upcoming stuff that I'm excited about. I think they can do it, but there's also just a lot of untapped potential in what one can experience in worlds like this. We're just getting there. We're just starting to understand what makes people sick, what doesn't, what constitutes the right kind of movement in the world. Like,
what makes you want to actually put that thing on your face because it's worth it, because it's so much fun.
Yes,
and it's enjoyable.
It's a very good point. But I'll tell you what, there's a huge benefit to knowing that the setup is put it on your head. By the way, it auto wakes and sleeps. So knowing that I can just reach over here, stick that on my head and go is a huge jump from Are my settings right? Did I have to recalibrate? Where are the towers? Why does that one have a rag over it? Nick, damn it. Why'd you put a rag? Like all this rigmarole that you go through with the tower setup for positional tracking, gone. And there's no loss of fidelity for it. Like the inside out tracking straight up works like magic. And I'm just can't get enough of it. It's really neat. And I have a big head. That's the other thing. Sarcastic in the chat room. He says, by the way, it fits large-headed people like myself. It does. They have accounted for tiny heads to big heads. I've seen it on, you did just very simply. And it's sure better. I mean, that's the thing you've got to do right. And they've got that stuff right. My eyes aren't the best, but I see fine in there. Like, I don't know, Tom. It just feels like they got the right, they're in the right lane for sure.
They've crested the hill. They may not be fully downhill on the road to joy, but they're definitely getting over the top, it sounds like.
Yeah, and there's only more to come, so we'll see how all that goes.
Very cool.
Very quickly, I'll rip through an email we got from a listener. This is about a recent episode we did of Current Geek regarding the change of the Hinckley name in Greatest American Hero. This is BioCow. We love him. He's great.
Yay.
Says, Mr. Hinckley name change. The message is this. Listening to your latest episode on the Greatest American Hero, you were mentioning the name change of Mr. Hinckley due to the assassination attempt on President Reagan. There was another more recent television show that had a change name due to bad press associated with that name in the news. In the television show Archer worked for a branch of the CIA called ISIS. This is true. I was watching some old episodes recently. Which just so happens to be the name of a terrorist organization in Iraq that started making news headlines in about 2013. This caused the writers of Archer to drop the name ISIS and say they work for just the plain old CIA. ISIS was also the name of the mobile payments app that was trying to compete with Google Wallet and Apple Pay. They also ended up changing their name due to the news and never really gained any market share in mobile payments. Hard to say if that was the reason or not. Probably had something to do with it. Anyway, says, although it's sad that one bad apple can spoil things, it still happens. Love the show. Thanks. Bye. Okay.
Yeah, interesting example, because they actually worked it into the plot of Archer, that why they were changing the name and discovering that they had always been working for the CIA and didn't know it. It was done in a fun way and sort of acknowledging, like, we know that we're doing this on purpose. We're not going to try to hide it, which is sad because, you could have also called them ISIL, which President Obama did. Mm-hmm. You could have called them Daesh, which most Arabian nations did. But it ended up ISIS being the one that caught on in most English language sources. And ISIS also the name of an Egyptian god, which is usually what, I think in Archer's case, what the inspiration was.
Yeah. Do you remember that show in the 70s? ISIS with the lady that was like a superhero lady, The Secrets of ISIS or whatever it was called.
Right. I forgot about that. That was a good show.
Only a year, 75, 76, but it was kind of a, I don't know, sort of like Wonder Woman, but not quite as good. It was a little cheeseball. But point is, they would have to do it now too, probably, if they were.
Yeah. Well, and probably one of the I'm sure it's because it's just old and not as good as we thought it was when we watched it as young. But if they wanted to bring it back, they would have issues.
This is all true.
But maybe in 5 years they won't. Remember, Hinckley came back in a couple of seasons.
That's true. If you want to send your own emails into the show, like
Peter D. Fisher points out ISIS was on Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, well, all right then.
They had that character on Legends of Tomorrow.
Maybe it works and she is in the comics. Maybe that works as a name of a person more than an organization. Like when you have the context of this person's name is ISIS, it's probably fine. Mm-hmm. But if you say we work for ISIS, that sounds
well. They don't call her. As I recall on Legends, they didn't call her by the name ISIS a lot. Oh. That was just it was one of those things where they kind of kept it in the background.
Amara, says Peter. Okay. Well, there you go. Anyway, send your own emails in because we'd love them. CurrentGeek@gmail.com. We love getting your emails, so please keep those happening. Don't forget, next week we got the Current Geek Film Festival continuing with our thoughts on 12 Angry Men.
All 12.
Each individual man will be scrutinized.
Why are you angry? Why are you angry?
Why are you angry? Why are you angry? Times. You guys are all 12 of you are angry.
Why?
Anyway, movie that Tom and I have not seen, so we're excited about this one, but it is on that list of the 200 best films of all time, or whatever our number is. And we'll be catching that next week right here in Current Geek. Also, right after these words, you'll hear Legal Geek this week explaining the basics of the long-term strategy of all these abortion restriction laws in various states. It says he will look ahead at the end of the Supreme Court's 2019 term as well and what this all might mean for that. So a little bit of an offshoot, not the normal nerd topic, but well, worth checking out if you like what Legal Geek brings to the show. So stick around for that. I think that's it. Tom Merritt, anything going on over there in your world before we go?
Yeah, I'm filling in for one last week on the Politics show, Justin Robert Young's show. He's been on vacation and asked me to fill in for him for a couple of weeks. So if you're interested in a politics show that tries not to just feed you things to make you angry at yourself or the other side, but just looks at what's going on in the political landscape and enjoys the circus and the attempt to understand what's really going on, please join us at politics.com.
Nice. A what does he call it?
PX3.
PX3. There you go. Sounds like a workout routine that I have to pay $99 a month for. But no, it's a great show and it's free.
Although you should go to takepoliticsseriously.com and pay $9.99 a month for Justin, because that's his Patreon.
Boom, there you go. That's going to do it for us. A reminder that all things lead to frogpants.com. If you're looking for other shows like this and you're trying to fill your player up with some more content, it's a great place to go, along with Tom's fine tech show that you can catch every week, or every day, rather, the Daily Tech News Show, which I'll be on tomorrow. Also, patreon.com/CurrentGeek. That's where you support us. If you want to go find our website, we are at CurrentGeek.com. And as always, Current Geek on Twitter. I'm Scott Johnson on Twitter. Tom is at Ace Detect. That's going to do it for us, for me, for Tom, for all of you. We'll see you next time. Even though it went a little longer than usual, that was a nice, tight show.
That was good. It was good moved. Yeah.
It was because of all my...
We just packed it in. You had a lot